Hello and welcome, Just Alive family. How are you today? So, giving you something to talk about live TV. Today's episode is setting your worth, seeing yourself through your eyes, which is super hugely important. And when I came up with this title, I was talking to Ray and I said, seeing yourself through God's eyes. It's a huge, powerful statement. Which is super hugely important.
Sorry.
That I forgot to mention. I do that too. Not a problem. So that is our show today. We're going to be talking about setting your worth and seeing yourself through your own eyes, getting rid of all that extra junk and beliefs and everything that's getting in your own way of being the best possible version of yourself you can be. So as the show's host, Melissa Krechler, hello and welcome. I would like to ask you to go and like, follow, and subscribe to the page on any social media platform that you follow. We have an account on just about all of them, and we appreciate the love. So please share, like, subscribe. And if you'd like to go and subscribe to our newsletter, you can do that at www.justalivetv.com. And the link is in the description. So today, my guest co-host is Ray Jenkins, the relationship coach. And I'm going to hand it off to you to introduce yourself because you're freaking amazing.
Well, thank you. Hi,
Very
everybody. Welcome. I am, as she said, Ray, the relationship coach. My story is interesting, and I'll be dropping some stories along the way as we have our conversation. But I just want to say I'm super excited about being here. I am super excited about this topic. When I was talking with you yesterday, I was saying like, oh my gosh, like this is the theme. This is the topic that I've been on pretty much all week. And so this is going to be a great conversation, everybody. I'm glad you're tuning in.
Absolutely. And just like you said, we're going to be sharing our stories. And as we share our stories, you have to watch the live or listen to it to actually get those little nuggets. We're not going to all do it at once. We got to have little nuggets throughout the show. And some of those little nuggets may give you the inspiration and the empowerment you need to start seeing yourself in a different light, which is what this episode alone is all about. I'm an identity coach, and my mission as an identity coach, and even as a woman and a human being and a spiritual believer, is we need to feel empowered. We need to build each other up, but we also need to see ourselves as who we want to be, not as who everybody else wants us to be in that moment. And for me, that's my biggest takeaway on this episode is just how much value we place into what other people think about us instead of what we ourselves should be valuing about ourselves. And as an identity expert, I'm going to give you my little tidbits throughout this episode, and trust me, you don't want to miss them. So let's start talking. When we came up with the title, let's go for the title. So when we came up with the title, setting your worth, and not even that, the one I mentioned yesterday about seeing yourself through God's eyes. What does that make you feel? Anybody who's catching us live or watching the replay or listening to the replay, post in the comments. What does that make you feel when you hear that? So Ray, I'm going to ask you, what does that make you feel?
So seeing myself through God's eyes, that literally was the key to my liberation, my freedom from people. Because listen, when you are bound by people, what they think, what they have to say about you, how they feel about you, what they want from you, all of that, it's too big of a price to pay. And I needed freedom, and I wanted freedom. And starting to see myself the way that through God's eyes, the way that God saw me, again, that was the key. That's how I was just like, well, wait a minute, this person thinks that I'm a worm. God thinks I'm a butterfly. Like, so it's just
Yep.
like, screw that person. I'm gonna rock with God. I'm gonna go with God.
Yeah.
I'm gonna agree with God. And that was a listen. That took a lot of as a Jan Levon Zant would say, inner work. It took a lot. Like, it took a lot of work because I had to practice that. Even though I agreed with that thought, it was more mental ascension at the onset. But but then it became my life. And so that's what it means to me,
Yeah.
or what it
You,
feels like.
yeah. Your worth, and I think I want to backtrack for a second. Your worth isn't defined by what everybody else thinks your worth should be. As a society now, we get so overcome, and I'm going to say this on just about every video we do, because it's one of my favorite things, is that society places so much emphasis on what we look like, the way we act, what our skin color is and our hair color is, and what our eye color is, and who we're dating, and what business we're in, and whether we work at freaking McDonald's or we're a high performing CEO. None of that matters. What matters is how you feel about yourself. If you don't feel worthy, if you don't feel confident, I was doing a pre-screening interview today, and I was talking to this lady, and I said, I'm a psychic, and it took me a long time to be able to say that openly, that I'm a psychic, I'm a medium, I converse with spirits. And it took me a long time to be open enough to say that, because of the stereotypes, what everybody else believes that is. It doesn't matter what they believe. It matters what I believe. And that's where the key is. It's what you believe your self-worth is. And your titles don't define you. Your beliefs about yourself define you.
God darn G. So can I tell you?
Let's go. Let's go.
Can I tell you, not only seeing yourself through God's eyes was the topic, mediums was the topic. Two people who are very close to me came to me and were talking about mediums. And they were saying, like, so one of them said that her friend had introduced her to a medium. And I was just like, really? And then I was working out with one of my newest friends, because I'm post grieving, right? And so although I'm still kind of working through the grieving process, I got this post grief weight. Okay, so I had to start hitting the gym. So me and my friend, we're in the gym, and she says, "So, what do you think about mediums?" And I was just like, she was like, because I was thinking about talking to a medium, because she just experienced, her sister passed away last year. And so she was saying that she's thinking about talking to a medium. And this is so, so, so cool, because when we were talking yesterday, I did not know that you were a medium, right? I didn't know it. But here's the thing. One of the things that we covered yesterday was how we can have dialogues with difference of opinion, difference of beliefs. And this is just the perfect opportunity. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because it's just like, I agree with you that what you think about yourself is what matters. And that's what I was saying, is just like, agree with God. Whatever God says about you, agree with that, right? And I know that everybody doesn't believe in God, which is cool, because my thing is, right.
And we have that difference of opinion. I believe in a higher power. I believe in universal energy. I believe we're all here for a purpose. I believe in a higher power, but I don't believe in religion's version of God. And that I grew up in a religious household. I went to Sunday school. I did all that, but I choose to move away from that and incorporate something that I found valuable, rather than what everybody else told me I had to believe. But when we came up with this title, I wanted the title to be seeing yourself through God's eyes. But for me, that was hypocritical because
Mhm.
I don't believe in specifically God in a religious sense. So for me, it
Right.
was hard to put that into words. Um,
Uh-huh.
but you're right. Difference of opinions.
Yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I love it because our experiences are similar. Like our experiences are very similar in the respect that we both grew up in religious spaces, right? And we didn't agree with the religion that was associated to, with what we were taught, right? And you and I both are very in tune with the spirit realm, right? And it's just kind of like, okay, we just do it different ways. And the awesome
Yeah.
thing about choice is that's what God gave each of us, choice. So I'm not supposed to debate you on your way of tapping into the spirit realm, debate you
Exactly.
about your way of communicating or who you think God is or who you believe God is, any of that. Like, that's not my job. Like, you know what
It's
I'm
not.
saying? Right.
Exactly. It isn't. It
Yeah. So
isn't.
that's why we can have this dialogue in freedom because I have no judgments of you. Like one of the things that I say to people about God is go have a conversation with God. Like whoever you consider God to be. Everybody knows that Jesus is my dude, right? But it's just kind of like Jesus is not everybody's dude. And we as Christians have to be okay with that. Because guess what?
Yeah.
The God that we know to be as God, as Christians, he's okay with that. He's not walking around like the nerve. You see this? They're gonna say I ain't real.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna
Well,
zap them. Like, you know.
and I laugh, okay? And I wholeheartedly laugh because if I tell people I'm a medium and they're like, "Oh, like I don't trust you." And I'm like, "Okay, first of all, I grew up in a religious household. Now, every one of the women, not every one of the women, my mother, my grandmother, my grandmother on my dad's side, cousins on my dad, all of us have seen, heard, or interacted with a spirit. Now, whether or not you're a God believer or a spiritual believer or whatever you believe in, if you have witnessed a spiritual encounter, you are a medium. There's
Mm,
mediums see, hear, smell. A medium is somebody who can sense spirits. That's
right.
literally all it is. If you are somebody, whether you're religious or not, who has seen a spirit or felt a spirit, you have mediumship gifts, whatever
Mm-hmm.
that means for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for you to grow up and see, this is where it is for you to grow up and be told that mediumship is wrong, that psychics are wrong, that they're going to cheat you out of your money or they're lying or they're just whatever. You've been taught that not only by your family, but by society, by, the media. Look at and I love this show and I can watch it because I'm spiritual and I totally get it. Supernatural. Okay. Super hot actors. We're not going to deny that. Okay. But you're watching Supernatural, right? And some of like the stuff in there is so unrealistic and so fake. And yet that's what people take. Okay, so psychics are the bad guys. No, we're not. Like, just because I can communicate with the spirit does not mean I'm communicating with the devil or evil spirits or poltergeists or anything like that. I watch all of these haunted shows on TikTok. It's haunted, or all of these haunted videos. And I'm like, and my teaching, okay, so my teaching as a spiritual is, and my firm belief, whether you believe it or not, whether you like what I have to say or not, is that there are no evil spirits.
Mm-hmm.
Everything evil is on earth. It's here.
Mm-hmm.
Everything
Mm-hmm.
evil is here. That's our experiences. That's our lessons. That's how we learn. The other side is not. Why do you think we live physical human being lives? It's to experience. It's to have free will. It's to have choice. It's to experience those negative emotions that we're not experiencing there, so that if you believe in archangels, if you believe in angels, if you believe in Jesus or God and how they help you from the other side. If Jesus, okay, and I'll talk on the Bible. If Jesus hadn't have come down here and experienced everything he experienced, would he be able to help you like he is now? It's the experience, right?
Right.
So
because he said it's needful for you that I go away. So, but go ahead.
Yeah. Because you have to experience in order to be able to truly know. Now I'm gifted, I know regardless, but in order to truly know what somebody is experiencing, or to have an idea, because you don't truly know, to have an idea of what somebody's experiencing, you need to have experienced that yourself. Right? So for somebody to come in and say, oh, you're this way, so your worth is this, that doesn't work. My worth is however I see myself. If I go through a situation with you, take my favorite example of beliefs. You have two siblings, twins, identical twins. They grow up in an abusive alcoholic family. One will never drink their entire life. The other one is an abusive alcoholic. Who's right and who's wrong? Neither one of them. Each one of them experienced the same thing, but their beliefs were created differently. They created a belief. One has high self-worth. One has their self-worth is I'm only as good as this person. You know what I mean? It's your self-worth is not defined by what you experience. It's defined by how you see yourself.
But that's really a work. Like, it takes a lot to come to that place and acceptance of that. It's because a lot of people like myself, you're born into these environments, right? Where they're toxic, where they're abusive, where, people tell you that you ain't shit and you ain't going to be shit, that type of thing. And you grow up in that. And
I know.
It just kind of, so that's how you see yourself. And again, as I said, mentally assenting that, okay, God thinks I am the shit, right? And so, okay, so you're not shit, you are the shit. I'm going to go with God because, like, what he's saying about me is good, right? And so I agree with you 100% that how we view ourselves, how we think about ourselves, that's really the key. And what it's the key to is the spirit realm, because we being triune beings, we are spirit, soul, and body, right? And so if your soul is not agreeing with what's happening in the spirit, because the spirit realm is the truest, is what is true. Like, our perceptions are one thing and our truths are one thing, but in the spirit, that is actually what is happening, and that is what's true. And so in recognizing that, if your soul won't align with what's going on in the spirit realm, if your soul won't align with what is agree with what's happening, what's going on in the spirit realm, then that's a disconnect that causes everything to break down. Or you may have successes in some area of life, but a lot of areas where you don't have that connection, things are just in the disarray. And it's just kind of like, that spirit realm is definitely important. And back to the believing in yourself and how you think about yourself and how you see yourself and all of that is so interesting, because like yourself, I was born with this gift, right? And I didn't know what it was. I didn't know. All I knew was, like, I would be like, you don't see that? And people would be like, you crazy. That kind of thing. And it was just like, wait a minute. And I started even thinking that too, that I was crazy, because it was just like, wait a minute, how do you not see this? Like, you don't see her, like, you don't see, like, you, what?
Did
And
you?
it's like,
Yeah. Did you have anxiety when you were, as you were growing up because of that?
I'm so traumatized that I don't even know, like, because I was abused. So I'm
Yeah.
not really sure
Yeah.
what
A
clinical
lot of,
definitions there are.
yeah. A lot of individuals, male or female, because this goes for everybody. A lot of individuals will suffer from panic and anxiety when they're an empath, because they take on physically the emotions of others,
Mm-hmm.
or when they're a medium and they go out in public and they feel, sense, or see spirits. And if they're not somebody who's a practicing medium, you don't have to be a practicing medium. So caveat
Mm-hmm.
on that. But if you're not a practicing medium and you haven't even acknowledged that you have those gifts as they come and as you ignore them will create panic and anxiety of you leaving your house and going anywhere, because you're picking
Mm-hmm.
up on energies. If you walk into a room and you can feel anger, you're picking up on energies. You're most likely an empath. If you walk into a room and there's a guy standing in the corner and nobody else sees him, you're probably a medium, and it's okay. You don't have to practice it. You can turn it off. But if you ignore it, that's when panic and anxiety. And that helps. That will screw up your self-worth just as much. Not
Yes,
knowing or not
absolutely.
acknowledging every aspect of yourself will create the self-worth issues, the panic and anxiety, the lack of confidence. I do have to mention one thing. One of my marketing agency, my management agency, I was telling her about today's show. She said to remind everybody that your self-worth, just because, and I know you're going to love this one, just because you're having a bad day does not mean that your self-worth is gone. It does not mean that you're worth any less. It just means that you're having a bad day.
That's
It
it.
does not reflect on your self-worth. You
That's
can have
it.
a bad day, you can have a bad week, you can have a bad year, but you get to choose your self-worth throughout all of that. Okay, I'm having a bad day today. My husband came home the other day and he's like, "What's wrong?" And he gets really angry when I'm not feeling well, because he's like, he can't do anything about it. So he gets really annoyed. So he comes home and he's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "Nothing. I'm feeling really needy today. Like, I don't know. I feel like being babied. Like, I want you to snuggle me and rub my head and like tell me everything's okay today." And I wasn't having a bad day. That's just how I felt. And
Mm-hmm.
I vocalized that, right? And that doesn't mean that me acknowledging that I'm vulnerable and that I was feeling weak and that I was feeling needy didn't lower my self-worth. The
Exactly.
fact that I voiced it and explained it and asked him to help me with it, I can fix it myself. But because I have a partner, I do have that ability to ask for help. And so I vocalized it. That doesn't mean that my worth is any less. I acknowledged it. I took control and I said, "This is me. This is how I'm feeling right now. Can you please help me?"
Right.
That makes
It's
your
called the human
self-worth
experience.
stronger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's called the human experience.
Yeah.
Like, and sometimes we don't allow ourselves to be human, and we don't allow others to be human. And
No.
again, as I said, so delivered from people. But just going back a little bit to the spiritual part, yes, I am absolutely an empath. Absolutely, irreversibly, undeniably an empath for sure. Um,
Yeah.
and it is in my experiences, as far as my identity and my self-esteem, my self-worth, like there was a lot of doubt, self-doubt, and a lot of hiding, because I didn't feel the freedom to say, like, oh, well, this is happening. Or I feel this and I think that, because I was surrounded by people who thought that I was weird, people who didn't understand my experience. And it was just kind of
Yeah.
like, who do you go to? Who can you talk to? And it, you know, and so you're in a space where if you are yourself, you're constantly attacked, you're constantly criticized, you're constantly put down. And it's just kind of like, it makes you want to isolate, it makes you want to separate yourself from everything and everybody. And so what's interesting is you asked me about the anxiety and you mentioned panic attacks. I what I did was I I am an introvert. Nobody tends to believe that, but because I have extroverted tendencies, but I am an introvert. I'm telling you, my shutdown is real. Like it blows people away. I could be in the middle of a oh, yay! All right, I gotta go.
Yeah.
And so
I feel you on that one. I absolutely feel you on that one. Oh, I think we're getting a phone call. Perfect timing to do the mid session follow. So remember, everybody watching, we're not done the show, but everybody watching, please remember to go and like, follow, share on social media. Whatever social media platform you are on, please go and like and follow the show. JustAliveTV.com is the website, and all of our social media links are on every page. You can catch up to all of the episodes you missed. Today is episode 20. I'm super excited. Yay! And we got lots more to come. So you're right. We do. I want to touch on this quickly. We're talking about seeing ourselves through other people, like through our own eyes, right? And a lot of the time, and this is the biggest part of this episode, and you'll agree once we get into it, is your own self-worth. We get in our own way, but not only do we get in our own way, life happens. So I'm going to talk for women, and this goes for men too, but I'm gonna word this in a feminine way. When you're growing up, you have to learn who you are. You have to be confident in who you are. Children have it hard, and anybody who wants to argue that with me, please feel free. Children have hard lives. It doesn't, like, whether you are being abused, whether you're not being abused, life, add on abuse to that, and it's like horrific. But children have it hard, and the reason they have it hard is because everything we know as adults, we created those beliefs as children. How we cope was when we were kids. Our self-worth was when we were kids. Everything that we do and everything that we say comes down to an experience we had as a child. So now, fast forward, we have to create, and I know my daughter's 12, she's going to be 13 in a few months. She's trying to figure out who she is. She's trying to create her own identity, separate from mine, separate from her dad's, her own identity. And it's hard. Then you add on, you're an adult now, you think you know who you are, you think you've got it going on, right? Being all that like late teens, and it's like, ooh, yay, right? Like I got a little bit of freedom, I know who I am. And then all of a sudden, now you're dating, and maybe you're engaged and you're getting married. Now, not only am I Melissa, I'm now Tom's wife. So my identity, my self-worth is now wrapped up in being his wife, right? Then we get married, we buy a house, then we're dealing with all the bills and the responsibilities of being a couple and being adults. Then you throw children in there. And then it's like, oh, geez, now I'm not only am I Melissa, which is getting smaller, but now I'm Tom's wife, and I'm Nico's mom, Haley's mom, Bella's mom. Like I've got all of these additional roles, right? Those create hits to my self-worth because I'm not thinking about my worth at that point. I'm thinking of my children. I'm thinking of my husband. Society tells us we have to put everything that we are into pleasing and taking care of our children and our husbands. on top of ourselves, and then we feel guilty for doing anything for ourselves, right? Every time that happens, that's a hit again and again and again to your self-worth. And then you're getting in your own way. Well, I'm depressed, right? You say, oh, I'm depressed. I feel for you if you're depressed. I do. I know what that's like, but I'm depressed, but I can't do anything about it because my kids need me. Or I wouldn't be alive. Oh, this one gets to me. And I love you all for saying this, but please, if you are somebody who thinks this way, please try to think of it differently. Focus on you. I am only alive because of my children. That I have heard so many times, and every time I hear it, I want to break down. I want to cry. I want to smack them. I want to hug them. I want to be like, honey, how do you not understand how valuable you are?
Yo, I'm going to need you to stay out of my business, okay?
Breaks my heart.
I was just working on some ads for this quiz that I created and talking about that very thing. And what you just said, it was on the prioritization of self and the guilt of prioritizing self. But going back to what I was saying earlier, it's the work. It's work that we have to do because we are conditioned that way. And that was my very experience. As a mother, I was a young mother. I was 20 when I had my daughter. And when I had my daughter, I had people talk about low self-esteem. I had no self-esteem. I had no self-worth. I had no self-value. None of those things, but I did have an attitude. I did have that, okay? And I didn't see my value or my worth, but I saw my daughters. I didn't think that I deserved the good that life had, but I knew that I believed in my soul that my daughter did. And that was the thing that fueled me and made me show up in a way when I wanted to ball up, curl up in a knot and just die. Like, you know, and there were suicide. It was only one suicide attempt, you know, those kind of things, whatever. But the thing that kept me going, the thing that kept me moving was my daughter. It was my daughter until one day, it goes right back to seeing ourselves through God's eyes. One day, God said, you know how you see how you want this and that and the other for your daughter? That's what I want for you. And I was just like, me? Like, what? Word? Really? Me? Because I didn't see myself as deserving. I saw her as deserving and worth it. And so that's when, so we need those experiences or encounters or whatever that allow our eyes to be open to the fact that you're walking around here broken. You know, serving
how are we supposed to teach
everybody
them?
else. Exactly, right? And you know what else I did? Even though I was broken, I was pointing her in other directions. I would get her into environments and make sure that she had experiences, environments, and exposures that helped her to develop into the person that she deserved to be. And she is out here kicking ass in this world. You hear me? And I love it. But now I've been catching up because she was ahead of the game. I spent all of those years, you know, building her up and not building myself up, even though I was doing some personal development along the way. Don't get me wrong, because to be completely honest, I had to become a better person if I was going to help her be a better person. So I was personally developing, but I wasn't healing. That's the difference. Yeah. I was evolving, but I wasn't healing. And it wasn't until I started healing that I began to appreciate the healing full circle. The healing came when God dealt with me and helped me to see myself the way that he sees me.
Yep. It's so important. And for those parents who are pushing and pushing and trying to give your children the best they're going to learn is through you. And as a mom, okay, when our kids are younger, as parents, we're taught that your kids feel your anger, they feel your anxiety, they feel what you're feeling, right? That doesn't just go away as they get older. So if you feel like you're worthless, they're going to feel that. If you treat yourself like you're worthless, they're going to emulate that. We are, first and foremost, their number one teachers. Mm-hmm. We have to take responsibility to show them that we are worthy. We focus on ourselves. We take care of ourselves. We put ourselves first. It's like being on a plane. Put your mask on first. You can't help anyone else if you don't help yourself first. Now, for parents who have said that, who have said to themselves, I am only alive because of my children, I want you to think about this. What are you going to do when those same children, and you're going to be proud when they do it, what are you going to do when they're ready to leave that nest? What are you going to do? Who are you going to be living for then? Are you going to be living? Are you going to be living for them still? Are you going to be living for your relationship? My priority list, and I'm confident in my self-worth. I see my worth. I wouldn't be doing the show if I didn't see my damn worth. Number one priority, me. I am and always will be my number one priority. And that's my connection to myself. It's my connection to my spirit, to my soul, all encompassing. I am my number one priority. My number two priority is my husband. I'm married. I plan on staying married. You know, if whatever happens in the future, but I plan on staying married. And when our children, if we go 18 years of focusing just on the children, when those kids leave, who are we going to be? Am I going to know who he is? I'm sure as hell not going to know who I am if I'm not taking care of me. You always have to be putting your self-worth first. My children are number three because my purpose of having children are to love them, embrace them, encourage them, and give them wings to fly on their own and show them that they are powerful and meant to do amazing things that they want to do. But I can't teach them that if I'm not doing that myself.
So true. So true. You know, it's so funny. My daughter posted something in her Facebook stories about this book that I bought her because, like I said, I was very big on personal development. And as I said, I evolved, although I wasn't healing, I was evolving. And her caption was, my mom has been giving me the best personal development books since I was a kid. And that is so true. Like, we grew up together. We literally grew up together. We were personally developing together. And then we started our healing journey together as well. So it's quite a journey. Yep. And as far as the parents who have to deal with that empty nest at some point, had to do that too. And my sister, when my daughter was in the 10th grade, my sister, who was an administrator at in the education system, she asked me one day, what are you going to do when your daughter leaves for college? And I was just like, what do you mean? She was just like, I'm concerned that you're going to go through empty nest syndrome. I was like, what is empty nest syndrome? And she was like, your whole world revolves around your daughter. She was just like, if you have nothing going on in your world besides your daughter, you're going to crash. And I was just like, oh, okay. So I started preparing. I started getting myself ready. I took that advice. So by the time my daughter was in the 12th grade and ready to go off to college, I was just like, okay, bye. I was like, okay,
love you. Have fun.
Absolutely.
See you on holidays.
Yes. And so it's just like, I am, women are my world. That's who my work is with. That's who my dedication is to. Strong, independent, action taking, high achieving women. I affectionately call her SuperWoman. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's something that, I've learned and I share with women whenever I can, that we have been conditioned certain ways. And we have the opportunity and the responsibility to create a life that we absolutely love, not one that we're just showing up for, one that we
Yeah.
absolutely love. And we have to undo a lot of that conditioning. And so it takes a lot of work. So coaches like yourself, coaches like myself, we're here for that very purpose, to help those women, give them that insight and those truths. It's like, okay, I get that this is where you are. You don't have to stay here if you don't want to. If you want to go beyond this, you can change, because look at me. I did. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I can't make you change. But if you want change, I'm here to support you in any
Yep.
way that I can, even if it's pointing you to a different coach, because I understand
Yep.
that I'm not for
Exactly.
everybody. I've got a
Mhm.
personality type that's very interesting. I'm very as gentle and as kind and as fun and humorous as I am all the more firm, because the
Yep.
way I see it is, you're in a fight for your life. And if somebody is attacking you, they're not playing with you. Hence attack. So it's just kind of like, if they're attacking you and they're not playing with you and they're here to whoop your ass, you can't play with them either. So you better get ready. You better buckle up, knuckle up, and you get ready and stand,
Hold
flat
my shit.
footed.
Yep.
Yes,
Hold my
yes.
shit.
Where's the Vaseline?
Yeah. Yeah. We're gonna get up on this. I feel you, because that's my energy. And I love my clients. I absolutely do. And any one of them will come on here and they will tell you the first thing Melissa does is hold me accountable. You're talking about those people aren't playing with you. They're fighting you. The most transformational thing one of them that I'd like to say on this video is that person who's not playing with you, that person who's attacking you and treating you like shit, that person's you. That person's you. It's not anybody else. If somebody is offending you, you're the reason you're offended. If somebody is treating you like shit, you're the reason they're treating you like shit. If somebody is abusing you, smacking you around, that's totally different. You cannot control the intentional actions, reactions, or verbal comments that come out of people's mouths. But understand that you need to know the difference of whether they are intentionally attacking you or not intentionally attacking you. If your self-worth is little to none, you are going to assume that everybody is attacking you.
Exactly, exactly. And we need to make room for constructive criticism.
Oh,
It's a
for
difference
sure.
between someone condemning you and someone criticizing you. And so I say all the time, this is like, a constructive criticism, you've got my ear. I'm listening because I want to learn, I want to grow. As I said, I was committed and I am committed to personal development. But someone who is like trying to condemn me and be condescending towards me, they just get no airtime. So to your point, if someone is disrespecting you, it's because you are disrespecting you. You're allowing it. If someone disrespects you and you don't entertain it, you cut it off, you don't allow it, you detach from that experience, how do they continue to disrespect you? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
We do have
I
certain
had that happen.
control. Yeah.
Mhm. I'll give an example, and it's about the show. I was doing interviews for the show, and I'm still doing interviews for the show. So if anybody wants to be a guest host or a feature topic or a sponsor, please reach out. Let's do an interview. So I was doing an interview one day, and before I even got started on the interview, this person was critiquing absolutely everything. How I did the video, whether my bed was made or not. And it was a pre-screening interview. Shit, I was in my pajamas, my hair was up. I didn't give a shit. Like, it was a pre-screening interview. If you can't handle me, then my bed is always made in the lives. Like, I'm good, right? I don't wear makeup. I am authentic. It's okay. But they were critiquing that. They were critiquing the way that everything, right? And I shut them down, right? Because I was happy. I'm happy with the way the show is. If I choose to make changes down the road, totally different. But I'm happy and confident in the way that I'm running my show right now. So I wasn't offended by the criticisms, but at the same time, I didn't ask for them and I didn't want to continue with them. Throughout the interview, in order to be on the show, and I said this on yesterday's video or the day before, I said, in order to be on the show, I need to be just as passionate about your topic as you do. Otherwise, it's going to be a stale video and nobody's going to want to watch it. That doesn't mean your topic isn't valid. That doesn't mean your passions aren't valid. That just means that I don't feel them for me or for the show. And this person turned around and I said, I like you. I like your topics. I love your energy. I just don't feel it right now. And after the video, they went and did a 20-minute live, and I watched the live. They did a 20-minute live ranting and raving about how I offended them. I didn't build rapport. I didn't validate their passions. None of it. Not once did she say how she, and then she made fun of me for not having my bed made, for not wearing makeup, for like, they're just, right? So that doesn't talk about my self-worth. That entire video they did wasn't talking about what I did or didn't do. It was talking about how they felt. And not once did they commend me for anything. It was all critiques. It was all trying to put me down and lower me to their level. And I could have commented on it. I could call this person out, but I'm not going to give them the power. That's their beliefs. And I hold no ill will for this person, none whatsoever. I said, I'm sorry if you felt that way. That was not my intention. But again, if you and I, okay, we're doing this video together. If I went, bitch, how would you react? Right?
What's up?
Like, right? And if you did it to me, I'd be like, yeah, hello, like, I'm here. Let's get it going, right? Like, I'm all good. If you call me a bitch, I'm gonna be like, yeah, okay, we're good. Like, no problem. Doesn't bother me. I am and will be a bitch when I need to be. Not a problem. But if I turned around and I called somebody a bitch and they didn't like it, would I be at fault? Not right away, because it's not my intention to be rude or to hurt them or offend them.
That's offensive or that's hurtful. You're like, oh, my bad. Like, me and my girls, that's how we talk. And, but I understand.
Yeah, I didn't mean it that way.
Yeah. Right.
But if it does happen again, then you know that my intention is to bother you. Right? So you need to understand that, and everybody watching, you need to understand that just because somebody says something, does something, or acts a certain way that bothers you or makes you feel less than, does not automatically mean that they are trying to make you feel that way. You need to be clear. Your self-worth is not defined by what everybody else says. Your self-worth is literally and figuratively internal. It's all yours.
All yours. And that's the key. Ownership. And that's where a lot of women, listen, as much as I love women, I am the one that calls them out on their shit, right? And it's just like, that is the one thing, that ownership, that's what's missing. Because listen, if you allow someone to disrespect you, and you allow people to talk down to you and all of those things, and you not allowing it doesn't mean that you've got to be belligerent and you've got to be aggressive and angry and
Yeah.
all of that or whatever. You just shut that shit down, like, and let people know, like, okay, no, that's not okay. If you don't have the courage, if you don't have the confidence to do that, own it. Own that they talked to you that way and they continue to treat you that way because you allow it, because you lack that confidence and you lack that courage, but you can change it. Owning it makes you say, you know what? I'll give you a perfect example. There was this dude. I was so in love with this dude. Okay. I was so in love with this dude. I was in my late 20s, mid 20s, or something like that. So in love with this dude. And one day, this fool asked me if we can have a threesome with my best friend. Girl, I was like, what? And I cussed him out. I did cuss him out, right? But I stayed on the phone with him. Watch this. I stayed on the phone with him. And when I got off the phone with him, I said to myself, I was just like, Ray, he just ultimately disrespected you. And you stayed on the phone. Why didn't you get off of the phone with him? Why did you stay? I had to ask myself that question and own this very thing. I said, I don't have the power to walk away from this man. Ownership, ownership. And it was when I took ownership that I began to develop the power to walk away from that man. Because any man who wants to have a if he knows that I'm not into that, I mean, people who are into threesomes, that's your thing. But you know
Absolutely.
that I'm not into threesomes, and you know how in love with you I am. You had no respect for me. You had no value of me. And if I allowed you to stay in my life and stay in my space, you would continue with that behavior. And I've got this T-shirt that I'm coming up with that says "Miss me with that behavior."
Oh, I love it. I'm
And
gonna totally
so,
get that one.
yes, and so it was just kind of like the ownership, and that's why I want to encourage women with take ownership for where you fall short, because that's when you'll experience the change. It's no point in trying to change that person. You barely have the power to change you. And so what I did was right back to God, seeing myself the way God sees me. It was just kind of like, God, I don't have the power to walk away from this man. I need help to walk away from this man. And I got that help. And so
Yeah.
some people may not call on God to get the help, but it's bigger than you. And if it's bigger than you, then you've got to go beyond you. So maybe a
Yeah.
coach, I always recommend God and a coach, possibly a therapist, that kind of thing or whatever. But it's
Absolutely.
just like,
You can
do
have
the
multiple.
work. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
99% of my clients have also been in counseling. And they said to me, while counseling works for the surface level stuff, like the symptoms, right? Counseling is
Mm-hmm.
not actually getting in there and fixing or changing the infection, right? And that's where I come in.
Right.
My clients literally said, I'm the antibiotic that goes in there, grabs hold of that infection and say, look at this. What is this? What are we doing with this? Like, how is this good for you? Because it doesn't look good for you. Do we need to switch this? How are we going to switch this? I'm going to just grab it and twist, right? Like, just like grab it and twist. What do
Yes.
they say about men who you don't like? Grab it and twist. Just go up in there and grab it and pull. Yeah, I'm a little bit weird. Anyway, yeah, I think that having multiple aspects to help with your healing is a huge, huge idea. Whether you can afford a coach, whether you can go to counseling or therapy or buy some self-help books. Shit, $10 a month on Kindle Unlimited. Find some self-help books on there. You'll find my book on there. There's always platforms that you can go to find that help. Join Facebook groups, join communities, go to church, join support groups at your local church or community center, whatever you need to do. But it's completely and utterly up to you to take those steps, to take ownership of how you feel. I'm serious. Now you got me thinking of merch, because I'd like merch for the show. I'm gonna get one that says "Own Yourself," like just own yourself.
Yes.
Just Alive says own yourself.
How about, okay, so I came up with one too, just from what you just said. Now I'm all right, because you see, like my T says holy but hood, right? This is a true depiction of my personality.
I like that.
Like, you know what I mean? I am completely holy, but I'm still hood. So it's just like you said, own. What you said? Own. What? Say it again. What did you say?
Own yourself.
Own yourself.
Own yourself. And just Alive says own yourself.
And so my thought is, so you get that one made. I want to get one made that says own your shit. Own your shit. Own it. That's what I was just talking about, right? That is a part of my message. It's just like, own it. Like we were saying yesterday, own your shit so you can get out of your way while you're on your way to what you asked God for. You got to get out of your own way. You got to get out of your own way. And you got to stop blaming everybody else and all of those things. And listen, I don't say that from a place of judgment or condemning, because I was that person. You talked about inexpensive ways to get help. Girl, I was a single mother on welfare, okay? All I could afford was a $5 book, a $10 audio series until I could afford coaches. And that's what I did until I could afford coaches. But when I was able to afford coaches, I started getting coaches. You know, and you know what's funny? A lot of times we take so much for granted because I didn't have my mother. My mother didn't raise me. I raised my daughter and I was very present in her life. So I had to go and get certain skills and learn certain things. I had to pay people to do that for me, right? She doesn't. So she'll be like, you got a coach. What you getting a coach for? You getting another coach? Why you always getting a coach? Because, girl, the stuff that you get for free, I didn't have anybody. I didn't have the mother. I didn't have that guidance. I didn't have that leadership. Nobody demonstrated or modeling. I couldn't go to my mother and say, Mom, what do I do? How do I handle this? You've got that. And so, listen, coaches, yes, they are absolutely, and I know it's some flake ass coaches out there. I get it. However, but again, it comes down to taking ownership. When you see that this person that is offering their services to you is not a good match for you, say no, walk away.
You gotta feel that, right?
Yes, you gotta feel it.
I have a PDF that is literally says how to choose a coach. And it goes step by step. You got to take, first of all, make sure that you feel like that person. If a coach tells you that you got to break the bank to work with them, tell them not a chance. Not a chance. While I will help my clients get from point A to point B a lot faster than if they did it themselves, and I mean a lot faster than if they did it themselves, I'm never going to tell you to take out a loan, use your credit card or what have you to pay for my services. If it's easier to use a credit card, but you can't afford it, then fine.
Right.
Don't ever remortgage, don't ever refinance, don't ever take out a loan to work with a coach. It is not, don't put yourself or your family at risk to work with somebody else.
That's so true.
No.
That's so true. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Number one, so for anybody watching or anybody catching the replay, number one thing I want to mention is own how you feel. To set your worth, to understand what you're worth, see yourself through your own eyes. Number one, you've got to own how you feel. Now, there are going to be times where somebody's going to build you up, or something's going to happen, or there's going to be a situation, and you're going to be sitting there and you're going to feel, I got this. Like, you're going to feel empowered. Those moments, I want you to latch onto those moments, because what's going to happen is when you have those moments of feeling like, oh my goodness, like, I'm great. This is awesome. I'm empowered. All of a sudden, those little get in your way moments are going to come in, and all that self-doubt, all that self-deprecation, self-sabotage, all of that's going to come in and go, but am I worth it? You're going to go, as soon as that thought, am I worth it, comes in, I want you to sit there and I want you to think, I want you to feel. I want you to feel that non-worthy feeling. I want you to sit there and I want you to feel it for a minute. And then I want you to ask yourself, do I want to feel this way? Or do I want to feel this way? Do I want to feel empowered, or do I want to feel like I'm not worthy enough? You get to choose.
You get to choose. You get to choose. Yes. You get
every
to choose.
time. Yeah.
Yes.
That is empowering of itself. So I'm a smoker. Okay. And I quit smoking for a couple of years when I was younger, early 20s. I quit smoking because I had my son at 19 as well. So I quit smoking at like 22. And every time, one of the ways that I quit smoking is I would go outside. When I would normally go for a smoke, I would go outside, and I would go outside with my friends who I smoked with. And they'd be like, hey, Melissa, do you want a cigarette? I'd be like, no, I'm quitting. Are you sure? And they'd hand me one. And in that moment, even though I'm craving and withdrawing and I want that cigarette, I'm like, no, I'm good. How empowering it is to choose that moment. That feeling lasts hours.
Yes.
Hours.
Yes.
And you can create that every day. Yeah.
Yeah. It's you
have the
telling
power.
You, I got power. Yo, I can do it, even though I thought I couldn't. Right. And so, yes, absolutely. And and one of the things that I love about the journey is it's very difficult. I'm not even gonna lie. It's difficult because you see a lot about yourself that you don't want to see, and you feel a lot of the, of what you're going through. I call them growing pains, right? And so as you're growing and evolving as a person, anything that whenever growth takes place, there's pain. And that's just a given. And a lot of people don't want to experience that pain. But even though it's not easy, it's worth it because it's the little things. It's just the little things. It's a collection of the little things that help you take those steps and maintain. Once you get that freedom, it's just kind of like, okay, I'm free now. Now what? Keep doing those steps. Keep those steps on repeat. That's it.
Yeah.
Recycle, repeat. That's it. Just, it reminds itself, because you're free now doesn't mean, and I really want everybody listening to get this, because you experience freedom from that thing that you were bound by or tormented by, it doesn't mean that you're never going to be challenged with it again. It doesn't mean, right? It doesn't mean like for instance, when I came out of poverty and welfare, I've been challenged financially since then. And it's just like, and so every time I get challenged, I have to tell myself like, oh yeah, no, no.
You take your power back.
Yes. It's just like, okay, this is what we did. This is how we got out of it. And this is how we stay out of it. And just implementing and practicing those things. But the point is that you will continue to be challenged with it. You will continue to be faced with it. I'll give you a perfect example. If you were delivered from alcoholism, right? Depending on what neighborhood you live in, almost every corner you walk past is a liquor store. So just because you're delivered now from alcoholism doesn't mean you won't be tempted or presented with the opportunity to go back or to experience it again. but you do have the power. The power is yours. It belongs to you. And so again, it just comes down to choice. You choose. You choose. And it's not always an easy choice. I listen, I don't want to oversimplify it because these are matters of the heart. This is mental stuff. Listen, soulish issues are tough. Spiritual stuff is easy. The soulish stuff, that's tough, right?
That's where I come in. That's where I come in. Yeah. I like a combination of both. While my identity coaching and my spiritual teaching are two completely different components, they still teach the same thing. For my spiritual teaching, it's people who are just awakening, just realizing that they have gifts and abilities, want to know what they are and how to use them. That's what I focus, because I believe we all have choices. We all have the capability and the responsibility to create our identity based on our needs, our wants, our likes and dislikes, our need to feel a certain way. That comes uniquely from each of us. I'm going to, since this is setting your worth, I'm going to end this segment with a question. And whoever catches the replay, watches, if you've gotten this far in the video, please comment or connect with me and let me know, is it possible for you to tell me or write down who you are without using titles or roles? I don't want to hear I'm a mother. I don't want to hear I'm a son. I don't want to hear I have 4 kids. I don't want to hear how many cats you have or dogs you have. I don't want to hear what your title at work is. I don't want to hear any of that. I want to know if you can tell me who you are so that I feel like I know you. That is my number one. Everybody who works with me, that is my number one thing. Tell me who you are. 99% of them will tell me who they are with the roles, the titles. So if I turned around and I said, hey, I'm Melissa Krechler, I'm an identity coach, spiritual teacher, I'm a mother of 4, I have 5 cats, a dog, and I live with my husband in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Do you know anything about me?
Not you, the person.
No.
Not you, the person.
You know,
I don't know what you love.
You know,
I don't know what you love. I don't know what
you don't get that
energy,
feeling,
what you thrive off of. I just know how you're existing. So yes, I agree with you 100%. Yeah.
Knowing your identity is being able to express yourself in any way, shape, or form. I can sit here and I can tell you, and I'll do it because I don't normally do it because it's something I work one-on-one with my clients with. But I love being in nature. I have a really hard time being in nature because I'm allergic to the heat. I'm allergic to the sun. I break out and it's nasty, but I love nature. I love digging my hands in the soil and my feet in the sand. I love being near water. I'm fiercely protective of my family. I will fight tooth and nail to do whatever I need to do to make sure that they're happy and healthy. I always make time for myself because I matter to me. That gives you more insight to who I am and what matters to me than any role or title that I can tell you. I told you that I'm a mother. In that comment, or in the second one, I told you that I'm a wife and mother. I told you that I have a family. None of that, but I didn't, it changes the way that it is, right? And
it helps us to identify with you, but not connect with you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's so true. Because like, if you were to if someone were to ask, like, Ray, who are you? I'm holy, but I'm hood. That tells you who I am. That is who I am. Like, that's my persona. That's my energy. It tells you, it lets you know, like, I'm a strong Black woman, not an angry Black woman. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm a powerful woman who can be petty. You know what I'm saying? I'm a pretty woman who's powerful. You know what I'm saying?
I'm a fist bump you. That's a high five fist bump moment. I love that. I'm fierce as I won't finish that, but I'm fierce as hell. it's crazy how many people think that they know who they are and they really don't. And it breaks
And
my
they
heart.
really
And
don't.
that's why I became an identity coach. You can tell people I'm a wife, I'm a mother. You can even tell people I'm holy but hood. And how many other people have those titles? How many other
Mm-hmm.
people can say that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your identity comes down to a whole bunch of components that are uniquely you, that
Mm-hmm.
nobody else in this world is going to believe what you do, feel what you do, say what you do, act like you do, and subscribe like you do. Nobody's going to be all of those things at once. That's what
Right.
uniquely makes you your identity, right?
Right.
And it's definitely important to know who you are. So I guess since we're about 70 minutes into this episode,
Oh wow. We was having too much fun.
we're having lots of fun. This is a powerful episode, and I hope that everybody watching and everybody kept catching the replay, listening to the podcast, understand that we're here to support you. This show is here to help you understand who you are, to empower you to feel like you can take charge of your life and start living it your way. And I just gave my elevator pitch. As a coach, coaches have elevator pitches. Mine is I empower you to take out your trash, reclaim your identity, and take charge of your life so you can start living it your way for you. That's my empowerment statement. And because I shared mine, do you have an elevator pitch or an empowerment statement, Ray?
Yes, get out of your way while on
Please
your
share.
way to what you ask God for. That's it. That's what I hope women
Love it.
do. Get out of her own damn way.
I love it. That's perfect. All right. Well, for everybody watching, I want to say thank you for joining us. This episode is definitely one that I would appreciate you sharing. Please go and like, follow, and engage on whatever social media platforms you are a part of. You can find the show Just Alive TV just about anywhere. If you'd like to connect with either myself or Ray, you can do so in the comments. You can do so through Messenger, or you can click the links that are in the description of this video or podcast. Also, you can go to www.justalive.tv and find Ray's episode on the episodes page. She will be the top one because she's going to be uploaded today.
Yay!
So go take a look there. Thank you so much, Ray, for joining me. I really appreciated it. I can't wait to do another episode with you again. I love your energy. I love what you talk about, and I think we work really well together. So,
oh, yay. I love it. And thank you for having me. It reminds me of my best friend, because you and I, we are definitely opposite in our beliefs for sure. But my best friend is a Muslim. From childhood, we've been friends over 40 years. And from childhood, she's been a Muslim, and people would ask, like, well, how are you best friends with a Muslim? And it was simple, because I love her. That's it. And so I love being here. I thank you for the opportunity, and I would enjoy coming back to do it again.
Absolutely. You're more than welcome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Ray. I really appreciated it. Just a family, this episode is over. Please go like, share, and follow. If you would like to be a guest co-host, please send me a message. You can be a guest co-host, a guest blogger, a sponsor, or if you have a featured topic that you would like to see on the show, connect with me, www.justalivetv.com, or go to any one of our social media accounts and hit message. I will talk to you all in the next episode. Bye.